All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for part two of our daily deep dive into current affairs? Perfect for those dedicated UPSC aspirants out there.
Absolutely.
We're going to be tackling the key issues from February 19th, 2025. Now, remember, some of this might be a quick revision from previous deep dives, but revisiting these issues with a fresh perspective never hurts, right?
Of course not.
Today, we've got a mix of impactful schemes, some natural phenomena, and even some international happenings to explore.
Indeed. It's all about connecting those dots and seeing how these seemingly disparate events contribute to that bigger picture.
Exactly. So let's jump right in with something that directly impacts a significant portion of our population. Farmers and MSMEs.
Okay.
We're talking about two recently extended government schemes, PM-AASHA and MCGS. I know government schemes can sometimes feel like a dry topic,
Yeah.
but trust me, understanding these is crucial for the UPSC. They are real-world examples of policies in action. What's fascinating to me is how these two schemes, while seemingly different, actually contribute to a larger goal of economic stability and growth.
That's a great observation. You're absolutely right. Both PM-AASHA and MCGS are pieces of the puzzle when it comes to the government's economic strategy.
Okay.
Let's start with PM-AASHA,
Okay.
or Pradhan Mantri Annodata Samrakshan Abhiyan, which focuses on providing price assurance to farmers for essential commodities.
Price assurance, that sounds good in theory, but how does that actually work on the ground?
Well, imagine you're a farmer growing pulses, oilseeds, or copra. Under PM-AASHA, you can directly sell your produce to government agencies like NAFED and FCI at the MSP.
Okay.
This means you are guaranteed a minimum price regardless of market fluctuations, which is especially important in times of uncertainty.
So it acts as a safety net for farmers, ensuring that they get a fair price, even if market prices crash. I remember from our previous episodes that the government recently allowed 100% procurement of certain pulses under this scheme.
Precisely. For the 2024-25 period, the government decided to procure 100% of tur, urad, and masoor under the Price Support Scheme, or PSS, which is a component of PM-AASHA. This decision was made to ensure better returns for farmers and to stabilize the prices of these essential commodities.
Now let's turn our attention over to the MCGS, the Mutual Credit Guarantee Scheme for MSMEs. I've heard this scheme described as a lifeline for small businesses. What makes it so impactful?
Think of it this way. Access to credit is crucial for any business to grow right.
Right.
But small businesses often struggle to secure loans due to perceived risks. The MCGS addresses this by providing a 60% guarantee coverage to banks on loans given to MSMEs. This encourages banks to lend more freely to these businesses, knowing that they have a safety net in case of defaults.
So it's a win-win.
Exactly.
MSMEs get the funding they need, and banks are more willing to lend. This connects beautifully with the government's Make in India initiatives, right?
Absolutely. By empowering MSMs, the MCGS indirectly fuels domestic manufacturing and strengthens India's position in the global market. For our UPSC aspirants, it is vital to see how these schemes, while targeted at specific sectors, contribute to the government's larger economic goals.
Now, moving from policy to something a little more earth-shaking, literally, let's talk about the recent earthquake in Delhi. I was actually in Delhi when it happened, and for a 4.0 magnitude earthquake, it felt surprisingly strong. Why is that?
Yes, I read about that earthquake, and you're right, a 4.0 magnitude earthquake typically wouldn't cause such strong tremors. However, several factors contributed to this particular event feeling more intense. Firstly, its depth a mere 5 kilometers below the surface. This means the seismic waves had less distance to travel, leading to more pronounced shaking at the surface.
So it's not just about the magnitude, it's also about how close to the surface the earthquake originates.
Precisely. Another factor is what we call in situ material heterogeneity.
Oh.
It's a mouthful, I know. But imagine the Earth's crust like a chain. The chain is only as strong as its weakest link, right?
Right.
Similarly, variations in the Earth's crust, like different rock types, or even the presence of fluids, create weak points where stress can concentrate, making earthquakes more likely in those areas.
That analogy really helps. It makes that concept much clearer. Now, we know Delhi sits in seismic zone 4, making it quite vulnerable to earthquakes. But on the technical jargon, what are the real-world implications for the city and its residents? What does this mean for disaster preparedness?
That's a crucial question. Knowing that Delhi is built on the soft alluvial soil of the Indo-Gangetic Plain, which can amplify seismic waves, disaster preparedness becomes even more critical. Building codes need to be rigorously enforced to ensure structures can withstand earthquakes. Public awareness campaigns about earthquake safety measures are essential, and, of course, having a robust emergency response system in place is paramount.
Excellent points. It's a reminder that understanding these geological concepts isn't just an academic exercise. It's about applying that knowledge to real-world scenarios.
Precisely.
Something that's sure to impress those UPSC examiners.
Absolutely. Now, shifting gears from the ground beneath our feet to the very foundations of our democracy, let's discuss a recent appointment in the Election Commission. The Election Commission, a body that's often in the news, especially with elections always around the corner. And speaking of news, there's been a significant development with the appointment of Ganesh Kumar as the new Chief Election Commissioner.
Yes, and what makes this even more interesting is that this is the first appointment under the 2023 Act, which we discussed in some detail in a previous deep dive.
Right.
But for our new listeners, or those needing a refresher, could you quickly highlight how this new act has changed things for the ECI?
Certainly. The 2023 Act was all about giving the ECI more teeth, more autonomy.
Okay.
Now, the CBC and the election commissioners have benefits and salaries on par with Supreme Court judges. They also get immunity from any civil or criminal proceedings for actions they take in their official roles.
So more financial security and legal protection, that definitely sounds like a step towards greater independence.
Yeah.
But does this mean everything is perfect now? Are there any challenges that still remain for the ECI?
Well, while the 2023 Act is a step in the right direction, some critics argue it doesn't go far enough. The composition of the search and select committees, which are now involved in the appointment process, still have a majority of government representatives. This raises concerns about potential influence.
That's a valid point. It seems like the debate around the ECI's independence continues even with these new reforms.
Exactly. There are also issues like the ECI not having the power to deregister political parties, even for serious violations, and the fact that they still rely on government employees for staff can also compromise their autonomy.
This is crucial for you, our UPSC aspirants, to understand. You need to be able to critically analyze these institutions, their powers, and the ongoing debates surrounding their functioning. It's not enough to just know the facts. You need to be able to form your own informed opinions.
Absolutely. It's about developing that critical thinking mindset that is so essential for the UPSC.
Yeah.
Now, how about we switch gears for a bit and get into our rapid fire round?
Sounds good.
We got a lot of ground to cover.
Let's fire away. What do we have first?
All right. First up, we have the Copenhagen Framework on Citizen Data. Remember how we talked about citizen science projects earlier?
Uh-huh.
This framework aligns with that idea. The Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation is looking at how to integrate this framework into India's statistical system. Basically, it's about recognizing the value of data collected by citizens themselves, which can provide valuable insights.
That's interesting. It's like crowdsourcing information for a better understanding of various issues. What's next?
Next, we have the RBI making an announcement about NDSM. Now, before we get lost in the jargon, let me explain. Imagine you want to buy government bonds, also known as gilt securities.
Okay.
You'd go through a bank, right?
Right.
That bank, if it has direct access to the government securities market, is called a primary member. You, the buyer, are the gilt account holder.
Okay. I'm following so far. So where does NDSM come in?
NDSM is like a big online marketplace where these transactions happen electronically. The RBI has now announced that deals between a primary member and a gilt account holder can be matched on this platform. It basically brings more transparency and efficiency to the government securities market.
Ah, that makes sense. It's like bringing the stock market into the digital age. All right, what else is on our rapid-fire list?
Moving on to a significant legal development, the Supreme Court has set aside a death sentence due to the lack of a fair trial.
Okay.
This highlights the critical importance of legal aid. The court emphasized that legal aid must be effective and meaningful, not just a formality.
I remember reading about this case. It was a powerful reminder that everyone deserves a fair trial, regardless of their circumstances. Access to competent legal representation shouldn't be a privilege.
Absolutely. And speaking of empowering citizens, the Ministry of Rural Development has launched a pilot project called NAAASHA, which aims to digitize land records in urban areas.
NAAASHA. I love that name. It's catchy and relevant.
Yeah.
But tell me, why is digitizing land records so important? What impact does it have on the ground?
Imagine a world where you don't have to worry about land disputes because everything is clearly documented and easily accessible. That's the potential of NAAASHA. It can reduce disputes, empower citizens with legal ownership documents, and bring more transparency to land administration. It's all about making land governance more efficient and citizen-centric.
It's fascinating to see how technology is being used to solve age-old problems like land disputes. Okay, last but not least, what's our final update for this rapid-fire round?
Let's zoom out to the global stage for this one.
Okay.
Ukraine continues to be a focal point in international news, with the UK pledging to send peacekeeping troops if needed.
Okay.
This highlights the ongoing tensions and the complex geopolitical situation in the region.
Definitely a situation to keep an eye on. Global events like these often have ripple effects that impact us here in India as well. Understanding these dynamics is key, not just for the UPSC exam, but for being a well-informed citizen.
Exactly. Now, let's take a break from the news cycle and dive into the exciting world of innovation.
All right.
There are two developments I want to highlight, one focused on conservation and the other pushing the boundaries of deep-sea exploration.
Sounds intriguing. Tell me more.
First up, we have TrailGuard AI, a technology being deployed in the Simbalpal Tiger Reserve in Odisha to combat poaching. Imagine a network of smart cameras that can not only see but also think.
The cameras that can think, that sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie. How does that even work?
It's all thanks to artificial intelligence. These cameras are equipped with algorithms that can detect humans, vehicles, and even specific animal species in real time. If the system senses potential poachers, it immediately sends an alert to rangers on the ground, allowing for swift action. It's like having an extra set of eyes, constantly vigilant and ready to protect those endangered animals.
Wow, that's incredible. It's heartening to see technology being used for such a noble cause. What's the other innovation you mentioned?
Now, let's dive deep, literally, with the Matsa 6000, a submersible vehicle that has successfully completed wet testing for the Samudrayan project. This project is incredibly ambitious, aiming to send 3 people to a depth of 6,000 meters below the ocean surface for deep-sea exploration.
Wow, that's deeper than I can even imagine. What's the purpose of exploring such extreme depths?
It's all about unlocking the mysteries of the deep sea. MATSI 6000 will be equipped with various scientific instruments to collect data, map the seabed, and even gather samples of marine organisms and minerals. This research has implications for sustainable resource management, studying marine biodiversity, and understanding the impact of climate change on our oceans.
It sounds like a crucial step towards a more sustainable future, and definitely something that aligns with India's Blue Economy Initiative.
You're absolutely right. Now, speaking of diversity, let's talk about 2 fascinating creatures, each with unique adaptations for survival in extreme environments.
Okay, I'm always up for learning about amazing creatures. What do we have today?
First, let's travel to the icy landscapes of Antarctica, home to the flightless Antarctic midge. This tiny insect thrives in one of the harshest environments on Earth with extreme cold, dryness, and high salinity.
I can't even imagine surviving a day in those conditions, let alone thriving there. How does this little midge manage to do it?
Well, this midge has some remarkable survival strategies. It goes through 2 stages of dormancy during its 2-year life cycle: quiescence and diapause. These are like deep sleep modes that allow it to conserve energy and withstand the extreme conditions. It's fascinating how life finds a way even in the most unexpected places.
It certainly is. Now, from the icy South Pole, let's fly over to the lush forest of Assam in northeast India, where a rare pair of white-winged ducks has been spotted in the Dihing-Patkai National Park. Now, this sighting is particularly significant because
the white-winged duck is a critically endangered species facing various threats, including habitat loss, hunting, and climate change. This sighting gives us hope that conservation efforts are making a difference, however small.
it's a reminder that biodiversity is precious and that we need to do everything we can to protect these vulnerable species. And for you, our dedicated UPSC aspirants, remember that we are covering all of this to help you succeed on your exams. Make sure you like this episode and subscribe to the channel for more.
Understanding India's rich biodiversity, the threats it faces, and the ongoing conservation efforts is crucial. This knowledge could very well be the key to answering a question on your exam.
So true. It's amazing how these seemingly diverse topics, from government policies to earthquakes to endangered species, all connect to form a larger web of knowledge that's essential for those aiming to crack the UPSC. And we focused on the most important current events from February 19th, 2025. So as you continue your UPSC journey, here's something to ponder. We talked about how AI is being used to combat poaching. Could AI also play a role in ensuring fair elections? It's definitely an interesting thought to explore. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep striving for excellence.